Hello everybody and welcome back to ZakIsCinema. Yes, welcome back everybody. If you find yourself just always kind of getting a little bit upset because you realize you really don't have anybody that'll sit down and talk to you about some of your favorite found footage horror movies and found footage horror franchises, well buddy, we're in the same spot because nobody's gonna listen to me either. Okay, so let's engage in this parasocial relationship together here. But yes, today we are going to be reviewing and discussing the movie Hell House LLC 3 Lake of Fire, which came out in 2019. As a mysterious billionaire reopens the infamous Abaddon Hotel for a live stream performance, a new team uncovers the building's deadly secrets and faces the hellish forces that linger within. So as we jump into the review for Hell House 3 Lake of Fire, on the channel we've been covering all of the Hell House LLC movies. We're going to go through the entire franchise, obviously leading up to our new one, Hell House LLC Lineage, coming out in just a couple days here. Just a couple weeks here, I was actually first introduced to this franchise with the first one when I just decided to watch it one random day when I was feeling very, very sick, and I really did fall in love with that first movie. I used to be big into found footage, kind of slipped away from it, but this was kind of my reintroduction back, and I kind of went on a little bit of a found footage binge these past couple of weeks, and Hell House was the one that kind of stood out to me, and it just seemed like, oh my god, the world's aligning for ZakIsCinema here, because I'm like, oh my god, there's a new one coming out right around the corner. First one ever in the franchise, I believe, to get a theatrical release. So it was just like God came down and spoke to ZakIsCinema and said, I need you to talk about these movies. People need you to talk about these movies. At least that's what I tell myself in front of the mirror before I start recording. Anyways, that's kind of why we're talking about this movie here. I've covered the previous two. If you're interested, check out those videos. But let's jump into the review section for Hell House 3, starting with the positives or just the things that I really enjoyed about this movie. And so far with this franchise, I really enjoy that it is trying its best here to really feel a little bit grounded, but also just focus on connecting the Abaddon Hotel to now this third story in this franchise where they're all connected. I like how in this movie we get some returning characters, we get some scenes of our original Hell House squad, but also in the documentary interview sections that all these Hell House movies show on camera, we do have some returning characters that interviewed in the first one, interviewed in the second one, and are now coming back to this third one. So I just always enjoy movies when they can feel very connected. You have to watch all of the movies if you want to jump into this franchise. Like, you can't just pick up at one random spot. I like franchises that do that, where you have the ability to, but at the same time, I really do appreciate franchises that feel so connected, and this one kind of continues on that trend a little bit. And you're gonna hear me say this a lot for this review, talking about how I appreciate and like some of its concepts. And one of the concepts I do kind of enjoy here is with the character of Russell. He is actually buying the Abaddon Hotel here. He is this play creative director that kind of puts on these live performances, but they're almost interaction based for its audience. So his idea and goal of buying the Abaddon was to set up a little horror play where the audience could kind of go through this supposedly to the town haunted house here. So I like that idea. I could see just some crazy director, creative person, head of a studio, buying something that's supposedly haunted to put on a unique performance and show in it to kind of add to the experience for its consumers. So I could see someone doing that, and I just kind of like the idea. I've never really seen that kind of play out. In concept, again, it sounds cool, kind of buying this haunted house and having a little haunted house play and story kind of thing all mashed together, which is kind of interesting. And I like that we're continuing again following the documentary crew through the Morning Mysteries channel. And the Morning Mysteries channel is interviewing this drama club team, I guess I'm going to call it, called Insomnia, where Russell owns Insomnia, is putting on this play. So they're kind of doing a behind the scenes lead up to their initial performance. So when I first started this movie, they're introducing like the concepts, the directions that they were going to go in. I'm like, okay, this could lead to something interesting. It's a little bit different. We're still in the hotel. Maybe we'll do something interesting. Maybe we're going to expand the hotel. Maybe the hotel is going to do something different, since the people in the hotel are trying to do something a little bit different. So I was just at least appreciating the connectedness with these movies, the initial concept, and how I thought the story was going to play out. But unfortunately, I really tried with this one, finding some more positives. But unfortunately, that's it for my positive section. So let's move on to my mixed aspects for this movie. And I feel like my mixed aspects are a large portion of this review and discussion. And just fortunately, as I was sitting down getting through this movie, I just slowly realized that maybe this is one of those movies that should have just stayed a singular story and maybe not gone the full franchise. We'll see with the new one. I still have to watch the fourth one, so we'll see with that. Maybe this was just a bit of a misstep, but I feel like especially with this one, I really admire its ambition, its concepts, but the story and the execution just kind of fell flat, and it was obviously held back a lot with its budget, unfortunately, but it really does kind of bring this movie down. And I don't know if I'm maybe missing something or just not fully comprehending something. I guess by this third movie, I really don't understand why there are so many people in the town where the Abaddon Hotel is, and then all these new characters coming in with Insomnia. I don't understand why so many people are so skeptical of what took place in the Abaddon Hotel, within Hell House, and the town's lore. Even if you don't believe in ghosts or demons or stuff like that, they have the Hell House documentary. They even asked some of the Insomnia crew if you've seen it. Some of them have. So there's that footage out there, and at the end of the first Hell House movie, you see, like, even if you don't believe those are demons, it kind of looks like someone's getting murdered in the basement. We later see Paul kill Sarah, and then Paul kills himself. So if you don't believe in demons, then yes, this is a creepy, unsettling murder-suicide. And if you do believe in demons, it kind of looks like there were demons. So I don't understand the skepticism around it. Like, maybe if Hell House was a little bit more ambiguous with, if these characters are playing a prank or something, but clearly something happened and people actually died. There were police officers there. You could probably Google it in this fake world and find their autopsy reports or you could find their funeral arrangements. Like, you could see a real life person die. There's real life people missing here. So a real crime took place. So I just don't get the skepticism, and they don't really explain it. And it's in my mix because, like I said, it doesn't really take me out of it. It's just kind of frustrating when you got all these new characters, all these actors, and they're kind of just like making jokes about it. Like, it's not that hard to believe some weird and creepy shit happened here, even if it wasn't demonic or spiritual. I don't really get that, and I still am struggling. I think I mentioned this in my last review. I'm still struggling to understand why the police just aren't investigating this as a crime scene. Unless feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something, but that is just really sticking out to me by the time we get to our third movie here. There's some good scare scenes in this movie. It's very, very few and far between, but there's a couple good ones. It's just unfortunately surrounded by so much nonsense and repetitiveness that it really takes me out of it. For example, there's one scare scene when all the actors are having a bonfire. They dare one character to go to the basement, like sit near a clown, record it, and come back up. They're all giggling about it like a bunch of schoolgirls or middle school boys daring each other to do stuff. So it's a little cheesy and stupid, but it's an interesting scene, at least, and it's filled with some tension as she's slowly walking through the Abaddon Hotel, gets to the basement, starts kissing one of the clowns, which is just so stupid. But then as she's like kind of backing up, you could see that iconic clown from our first two movies kind of staring back at her. And then as she's like walking, looks back, he's like getting closer and closer, like some traditional Hell House scares here with that specific clown. But then again, she just kind of turns the corner and like is crying on the stairs, not moving, not trying to run out of there. She's just sitting there. So just surrounded by nonsense that kind of takes me out of it a little bit, which is frustrating. And in my mixed here, I'm going to be talking a lot about, like I said, the concept of this movie, because I do feel like the concept, the ideas on paper were probably really cool and really interesting. Just the execution falls really flat for me, unfortunately. But it's in my mix because I at least appreciate that ambition they were really going for. So for example, at the end, all of the demons are released from hell thanks to good old Andrew Tully, and start murdering all the actors and the guests paying for this experience, and I assume taking them to the Lake of Fire. But they all just look like they're in Spirit Halloween, maybe even just Walmart Halloween costumes, that black blank cloak costume with the blank face. They all just look like people walking around in costumes. Again, just if the police saw this, it just kind of just looks like a murder scene. If anything, you don't even have to believe in demons because it don't look like demons. It almost looks like it kind of comes off in these actors in costumes portraying some like middle school or high school play, unfortunately, especially when all the killing goes down. Like actors just like, no, don't touch me, don't kill me. And they're just like standing there, and then like cloak demon costume people are just like hovering around them, doing a bunch of fake stabbing that is so fake. It just kind of reminds me of the Dark Knight Rises fighting choreography. And then as all our demons are kind of coming out and murdering everybody, I guess Russell, we'll get into it, maybe has a change of heart or something, but he gets into a wrestling match or a little bit of a play slap fight with Andrew Tully as the gates are opening. He's trying to close them, and then I guess somehow the fire from the pits of hell set fire to the Abaddon Hotel, apparently closing the gates of the hotel because they burned down the hotel. But they just do not have the budget to pull something like that off, unfortunately. The fire effects look like something I could get out of the iMovie software that I use. Like I said, cool in concept, but just the way it's portrayed and executed within its budget, unfortunately just brings it down where I cannot take anything serious in this movie, especially in the third act, which is so frustrating when it should be the high end for the movie. And then as we jump into the real ending, right after that third act climax, all of our characters wake up, including Russell, in this heaven side of the Abaddon Hotel now, since they were killed in there, but the gates to hell were now closed. And again, very interesting in concept, where right after Russell kind of sacrifices himself there, we see the original Hell House team wake up. It's like Avengers Endgame here for the Hell House franchise coming out of the portals pretty much. But we see right after Paul committed suicide, but we see him now wake up in the third act. And I was like, and they all wake up like they just had some sort of bad dream or something. And after the disappointing third act, I start seeing this. I'm like, oh shit, this is cool. Where are they going with this? How are they going to connect this? What's the point of this? But then again, in concept, it's interesting. But then Russell just kind of comes out like he's I don't know, an angel now, I guess, just some holier than thou individual coming to talk to these people. And he's talking to the group. He explains that they're in some sort of heaven now, and they're stuck in the hotel, and they're actually dead but can't leave because the hotel originally killed them. But I don't know, if you close the gates of hell, wouldn't that maybe counteract that, and maybe they could leave? I didn't ask Russell. I didn't care to ask, but it's whatever. It's whatever Russell wants. At first, there's a little hesitation, but then the group just kind of accepts it. One of them says, I think it might be Paul, he's just stands up after sitting there for a second after hearing this and is like, oh, well, homie, I could use a drink. And then they all go off to that bar that we've seen, now 3 times throughout these movies here in the hotel, and they're all just like, yeah, let's go get a drink. Then our main leader of Alex is still just having a hard time accepting it. Sarah comes over and consoles him, and then they walk off to go get a drink. So it's just like it's like 10 seconds of where they're in distraught, and then they just learn to accept it and start drinking, I guess. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that went nowhere. I guess I assumed they were stuck in the hotel, and now I know at least they can party it up and drink. Like, you took something so interesting and really didn't do much with it, which is just like the whole movie, unfortunately. But yeah, so let's get into my negatives for the movie, or just the things that I didn't really like about it. And this movie is full of just showing you flashbacks, like something out of, I guess, Happy Gilmore 2, where every time they're in a familiar area in the hotel, which is pretty frequent, the hotel is very small. Anytime there's a familiar scene, they cut back to the first 2 movies, mostly that first one, and I hated when they did that. If it was once or twice, I'd be like, okay, fine, but they do that almost every single time they're referencing something or showing something, or pretty much almost every single scare scene, where, again, it just makes me automatically disengage with your movie, and I can't take it serious, and it just constantly reminds me that I'm watching a movie. And I hate that feeling when I'm watching a movie. There are some just really cringy scenes and just, again, poor execution here. For example, Russell, the leader of Insomnia, is just so overly creepy. You could tell without a doubt that he's up to something kind of sketchy. They don't hide it whatsoever. And he has this bodyguard, I guess, helping him manage this group of people, but he's really only managing like 4 people. I don't know why he needs like a bodyguard on top of this, but they're up in the attic spot where one of our characters hung himself in the original movie, this creepy attic spot, and they have this big ass table there. They have their conference meetings. Russell has some sketchy safe up there, and he's just like always just like sitting up there and pondering. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He doesn't even have like a laptop or anything. I'm like, what are you doing up here? Get down there and dust something at least. Like, he spends the majority of the film up there, and it's so goofy. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? And unfortunately, with this movie, there's just not a lot of scare scenes that stick out with me. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the second one, I still really appreciated a lot of its individual scenes and scare scenes specifically. But in this movie, it's just devoid of a lot of tension, and a lot of the scares are very, very just repetitive. Characters just kind of wander around the premise, referencing Hell House, the original movie, the town lore that we've heard for 3 straight movies now. They maybe flip the camera and like show themselves like, oh, this is for my followers, and then we see something behind them, but they don't because they're recording. Then maybe they do it again and it's missing. Maybe they are walking around, they see something, just kind of like turn and creep out at them and then jump at them. Or the lights go off, then they go back on and someone's there getting a little bit closer. Like, it's all things we've seen before, and when every scare scene is just a character walking, they hear something, see something, and then it ends with that demon attacking them, then it cuts to black. It's like that every single time. And it just, again, makes me disengage because there's no real tension, there's no real buildup, there's no real suspense or mystery with your scare scenes. You just keep doing the exact same thing. And even if I don't like this movie, but I just wish there was like some individual scare scenes, because I still think the Abaddon Hotel is cool and interesting, and it's a creepy premise and idea. Just they don't try to do anything different and do stuff even more cliche and stuff we've seen before more than the first one did. So that was pretty frustrating as well. And not a big negative, but like I said with my first review, how the Hell House squad their ending haunted house experience that they were making was lame as shit. Very similar with this one, when Insomnia's play is just lame as shit. Like, I was just kind of taken aback because the performance or whatever the hell this interactive thing is just so goofy. Like I said in the beginning, it sounded good in concept. I'm like, oh, that's cool and interesting. But when they start showing it, it's just a bunch of these people paying tickets, coming in and putting on these white masks, like walking around. Then they go to a scene in this room, and then they're all just like trying to like, oh, excuse me, like, let me sit here so I can watch the actors perform. And then they all like kind of get up, and then the actors go off to the other room, and then everyone's like shuffling there, and they're all just like cramped in these tiny rooms just watching these kind of poorly acted scenes. Like, it just reminded me of some like improv class, not something you'd pay money for. So that was just like, I'm like, who is paying money for this? This is so stupid. And it just kind of made me laugh when goofy ass Andrew Tully shows up on screen and he starts like inserting himself into the acting scenes, and the actors are like trying to go along with it because they're not sure if it's part of the show. But I'm like, guys, you just practiced this for like a month, like very clearly you've never seen this guy. I don't know why you're still trying to do the scene, but whatever. And it's just, again, creepy in concept, I guess, but I think I mentioned in my second one, Andrew Tully is just not that creepy or that interesting when you show so much of him, and he's always just exposition dumping to people. So I'm like, oh God, here he is again. And they don't really do anything new or different with him. And I think my biggest negative with this movie is I really just don't think the movie ever did a good job at explaining the character of Russell or making him interesting, or really explaining if Russell was good or evil. Because at the end, he makes this, I guess, sacrifice to close the gates of hell by burning down the Abaddon Hotel. And then it's later revealed he has this nasty scar that we've seen, that he died in a car accident a couple years ago for like 2 minutes and then came back. So it's like assumed that he may have saw something when he died and then came back, and it maybe scared him, warned him, or enticed him to join whatever he saw when he was dead for a couple minutes. But the movie never makes it clear if what he saw caused him to set this up to sacrifice himself or something so that doesn't happen, like he was on this mission to stop it, or if he saw it and then wanted to join them and help Andrew Tully open the gates of hell, but then regrets it later on and decides to close it. So it never really does a good job at deciphering what exactly his plan or goal is with this. It never really addresses it. And either way, no matter what his motivations were, his plan is just kind of stupid because he got so many people killed at the end. All of his audience members, the majority of his actors are dead. So I just have no sympathy for him. So when he shows up as some like angel we're supposed to be respecting at the end, talking with our original Hell House characters, I'm just like, dude, get this guy out of here. This guy almost unleashed hell on Earth. So just that character of Russell is just a huge negative. You could tell the actor was trying, but his dialogue was just written so poorly, and the movie spends a large portion with him, and I just did not like his character. They could have made it more interesting if he was more complicated, and maybe he did see something, maybe he was going to do something, but really regretted it, and we could see this change and this big arc, but they don't even attempt anything like that. So I would say overall, I went into this not expecting the best, and unfortunately, I left still pretty disappointed. On a concept level, it's not bad. However, the characters, writing, low budget, and poor execution honestly make this movie a little bit difficult to watch, especially as you get in the back half. Third act climax, it's pretty rough. So for my rating for this movie is I have it as this is a movie I would never want to rewatch. I would never want to own, rent, stream, or illegally torrent this movie because it's not worth it, because I will never sit down to watch this again. If I want a Hell House experience, so far, I am just going with the first one. So you guys have my thoughts on Hell House LLC 3, Lake of Fire. Please let me know down below what you think of this movie. Do you think it's as bad as I think it is? Are you a little bit more forgiving of it? Do you like the concept of Hell House turning into a franchise? Or are you more like me right now, where kind of wishing maybe it just stayed with the first one? Are you looking forward to Hell House Lineage coming out soon? Let me know all your thoughts and feelings on this movie and the franchise as a whole down below here. there. But that's about it. I appreciate anybody watching my videos, so thank you so much. And yeah, look forward to more ZakIsCinema coming very soon.